You're a part of the resistance.
Welcome back to the Resistance broadcast. My name is John Hoey. Thank you for hanging out with us today, as this marks only 5 weeks until Solo opens in theaters. Crazy! Bill has a 100% Solo a Star Wars story slate ready to roll and is the Force with you, so I hope you're by your nearest chair, because you're about to take a seat. We're also going to talk about fan service in Star Wars films in our discussion segment, but before we get to this thing, let's say hi to James Baney, Bill Sheehy, and Lacey Gillerin. What's up, guys?
Oh my God, it's Thursday. It means tomorrow's Friday, guys. It's the weekend. I'm excited. I hope you're listening to this episode on Thursday. I'm stoked. Let's get started.
Y'all got any of them Star Wars?
Yeah. He's one of those aliens from Last Jedi.
Yeah. Pointing out the Parkers, the illegal Parkers.
Yeah, exactly. Find them over there.
Oh, Bill.
Hit record. And that's what I came up with.
Oh, I'm supposed to go now. Hey, guys. How's it going? I'm just hanging out, ready for the weekend, apparently. My brain's shut off. I love Kylo Ren. Thanks.
And making her return after we realized that one episode is simply not enough to contain the Queen of Corp Nation.
Not enough.
Welcome back to our special guest, Ash Crossan. What's
Hey,
up, Ash?
woo! That's me doing the pork nice.
That's really good.
Like a pork impression?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys are ready to therm scissor punch. I'm really excited about it.
Let's keep this going.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Can you do a double therm? I don't know.
I love a bit. I love a bit, and we are now committed. We are here.
Right.
I have it on my weekend to-do list.
Hey, what you do with your husband is your own stuff. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine.
So just in case everyone needs to, go listen to Monday's episode, and this will make a lot more sense.
Yeah, it still won't, honestly, but maybe a little bit more.
Can I say I love it, though?
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Bill, let's just get to this, man. It is time to find out, is the Force with us? So take it away.
In the words of the late, great Samuel L. Jackson, take a seat. So, Metacritic, a site many analysts consider one of the best movie rating sites, rates films based on 2 categories: published critic ratings on a scale up to 100, and general audience ratings on a scale from 1 to 10. Rogue One sits with a published critic rating of 75 out of 100 and a general audience rating of 7.6 out of 10. So, assuming the audience score will not be sabotaged once again by angry DC fans who are still upset over the CGI mustache removal.
Oh, God, no.
We'll stick with the published critic scores for this one. So, here it is. A Solo a Star Wars story will have a higher published critic rating than Rogue One. So 76 or higher. Is the Force with you, Ash?
I don't think it will.
Force is not with her, guys.
I don't think it will. I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I don't know why, but like for me, Solo is just a little bit of a harder sell. I'm not exactly sure why. I haven't been able to put my finger on it. But there's something about it. Like I watch the trailers and I'm like, great, I'm going to see this. I'm really excited for it. But I'm like, just not like extra about it. And I just don't know how it's going to be.
You don't think the critics will like it. You think the fans will love it though.
I think the critics will like it. I just think that Rogue One is, it's so good. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
I don't know. I don't have a great answer for this one.
That's all good. No, that was perfect. That's awesome. All right. James, so 76 or higher. Is the Force with you?
I think it will. And the reason it is because I think people are like, Rogue One, what is this? Low expectations, pleasantly surprised. Last Jedi, high expectations, wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be. And then they're going to go Han Solo, oh my God, drama, all this other stuff. I don't know about this. We didn't ask for it. Low expectations. Boom, pleasantly surprised. I think everybody's going to have a lot of fun with it. And it's going to end up pleasing a lot of people.
Lacey, is the Force with you on this?
Can I just say the setup of this question, I felt like I was in high school math again. I thought you were going to start talking about trains coming from different cities and then meeting at a certain time.
If
and I was
a train
like, oh, no.
comes from Lexington, Kentucky, and then hits somewhere in Delaware.
There were math
Where does
scores.
Solo
I was
land?
like, I started sweating. You know what? The Force is not with me on this one. I don't think critics are gonna go crazy for it. I don't think critics really want this movie. I think that you're gonna have people go nuts over Donald Glover, and they're gonna love it. And they're gonna say that Ron Howard did a great job with what was probably given to him. I think fans are gonna thoroughly love it, especially after some of the fans have a bad taste in their mouth. Cough, cough for no effing reason ever. Cough, cough about The Last Jedi.
So
But
tell me how you really feel then.
I think that fans are going to love this movie and critics are going to be like, meh, it's great. But then it's coming off of awesome movies like Avengers where people are going to lose it. And then like Black Panther was right before that. So it's like Solo's kind of following the trail of some other really, really high expectation movies. So I think it's going to do okay, but I don't think it's going to beat the critic score of Rogue One.
Gotcha. John, we're just talking a little bit about math. Is the math, does the math work for you? Is the Force with you?
Okay, so your mom gives you 12 parsecs.
She
and
does.
then your friend takes 4 parsecs away from you. Yes, I will say yes, it will, but it will be close. And I think that, and I was on the fence on this. I could have went either way, but I think the familiarity of it, what you have, and I'm talking about critics' familiarity. So you have Ron Howard, classic, Larry Kasdan, classic, Han Solo, classic. And I think like those flashes that come up when the TV spots happen, when the critics put their reviews out, they're going to be gushing over Donald Glover.
Yep.
It's going to be like, Glover is incredible, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's going to put this
That
thing...
fur jacket is the best thing I've ever seen.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's...
Says Ash Crossan from E.T.
A movie called Solo, and the standout is Donald Glover. I mean, that's...
I just think that's gonna put it over. So that's why
I
I'm
got you.
saying it's
Okay,
close.
got it.
But I think the critics are gonna put a little bit higher because of familiarity. So yes, the Force is with me.
Awesome. And I'm going to agree with you, John. I don't think it's going to be by much. It may even be 77, which I could see happening. But the Force...
It's a great year for Star Wars.
It is. You're 100% right. Absolutely. So yeah, the Force is with me on that. On to the next one. So just 3 months ago, fans were wondering why we hadn't seen any footage from Solo. And now here we are, a month and a half to go, having gotten an initial Super Bowl TV spot, a teaser and a full trailer, and the theatrical poster. Is the Force with you if we didn't get another shot of Solo footage until the movie comes out? John?
Yes, I'm good to go. I remember seeing the TV spot of Rey like getting Kylo Ren's lightsaber like right before
Oh, that was so
The
good.
Last Jedi came out, and I was pissed. I was like, I don't need to see that yet. So I don't want to see, even though it's a prequel and we kind of know where the story's going, I don't need to see anymore, man. I am ready to roll. Let's do this thing with Solo. So if I don't see another ounce of it, I'm good. So yes, Force is with me.
Lacey, is the Force with you if we didn't see another shot of Solo footage?
Yeah, the Force is with me. I mean, John's basically ruined this movie for me already, so I feel like going into it, I'm going to be in a really good place because I know about all these things I didn't know about. I'm learning more about math. Like, this is going to be a very emotional,
It's a journey.
for
It's
me.
really a journey. Yeah, absolutely. You got your own arc. You're learning something. James, do you agree with everybody else so far?
So the question's kind of tricky because I think for me personally, come on.
He needs to
all
break
right.
it down in 76 ways of why this trailer is giving him
Is this the
certain
Force with
emotions.
you or is the Force with me? All right.
All right.
All I'm saying is I don't ever need a trailer. I don't need a poster. I don't need anything. You tell me they're making a Han Solo movie, I'm going in. I don't need to see anything. So at any point you ever ask me, do you need to see anything else? The answer is no. But if I had the power to flip the switch on and off, there won't be anything more. I would leave it on because I think I want people to see it in TV spots and all these other places, and I want the trailers to be out there. I want to get people excited, and I don't think how I see or what I see from these movies are really going to affect me going. So I want the trailers to keep running, and I want everybody to see it, and I want everybody to go on May 25th and support Star Wars. So I would say the Force is not with me. I want them to keep running trailers, but do I need to see anything more? No, you don't got to show me anything, man. I'm there day one, first in line.
Gotcha. And finally, Ash, are you good?
Yeah.
Is the Force with you on this?
Absolutely. I totally agree with like everything that James just said, but cuz like we know the story, you know, we know in general what's going to happen, who lives on. Like I don't really want to see any more personally because I just kind of want to go in at this point, but I like to do what I call the mom test when I'm trying to figure out if I'm like doing something right, is I text my mom and I'm like, "Do you know what this is? Do you know who this is? Does this make sense to you?" And I'm pretty sure if I texted her right now and was like, "Are you seeing the Solo movie?" she'd be like, "What is that?" Like, I just don't feel like there's been enough out there. Yeah.
Mom, what is a therm scissor punch?
But what is...
I heard some kids at school saying
If
that.
I said that to my mom, she'd be like, you need to
Looks
go
on
back in
Urban
the
Dictionary.
70s.
Awesome. Okay. And I think I talked about this in the last episode, but the Force is definitely with me on this because I'm good. I saw everything that gave me full confidence in this movie. I don't need to see anything else. So the Force is with me. On to the last topic. So fan service is real. And we're going to have a little bit of a discussion on this. So to get our minds churning in the direction, let's talk about Darth Vader. The Sith Lord appeared in Rogue One and wound up having one of his greatest scenes ever, according to many fans. Vader was not a surprise part of the film, as he was used in the film's marketing. With that said, we have not seen or heard anything about Darth Vader or the Emperor in the Solo promotional material whatsoever. But we know the Empire reigns during this time frame, and they have a presence on several of the film's planets. Is the Force with you if Vader or the Emperor appear in Solo, a Star Wars story? Let's start with Lacey.
Hell yeah. I'll take some Vader. I'd never say no to some Vader. Emperor? Who cares? He's an old guy. But Vader? Hell yeah. I want him to slice some people up again.
Awesome. James, is the Force with you? Do you think we're going to see Vader or the Emperor in Solo?
It's kind of hard for me to say that I don't want to see Vader or the Emperor back live on the screen. But I do think that if they were going to implement these characters in any way, I think the best way to do it is to just mention them, is to talk about the boogeyman of Vader, or the fact that the Emperor, and you know, he's in the shadows, you know what I mean, and he rules this galaxy with a iron fist, you know, and like kind of in a sarcastic way. I think to talk about those characters is better than to have this like, oh, guess what, you didn't know this, but Han Solo and Vader actually like had a little scuff at one point, or you know, there he was. I just think that would kind of be weird, and it further shows that they're just trying to stick Vader in there to get people to see the theater, you know. And I think Star Wars is stronger than that. I think Solo can have his own story without needing to stick the Emperor and stuff in there. So I don't want to see him in person. Put him somewhere else.
Gotcha. Ash, is the Force with you if Vader or the Emperor show up in Solo?
It would really have to be done in a way that makes a lot of sense, because to me, based on the movies alone, because I know people will be like, well, in this comic and this happened, but in the movies alone, in Episode 4, A New Hope, like Han's Imperial knowledge is like very limited. Like he didn't know what the Death Star was. It's like, what the hell is that? So it just doesn't make sense for him to have this like vast knowledge of like Emperor and Vader and all of that. I would much rather see Boba Fett or Jabba the Hutt or somebody he's like extremely afraid of when we meet him. That would make so much more sense to me. I would love to see that.
Awesome. And finally, John, is the Force with you on this?
Yes, but Palpatine mostly.
Boo.
Like give me more Palpatine. You have Ian McDiarmid, who is like 73, and as we found out from you at Lexington Comic-Con, he said he was completely open to coming back as Palpatine in all formats, animated, live action. He's all about it. He's not one of those actors who's like, I've done that, that's it.
Yeah.
He's here, he's ready. Use the man. And it makes sense because he is the Emperor of the galaxy during this time period. So it would be, and we'll get into this in a little bit, good fan service in my opinion. And this guy's going to retire at some point. He's 73, as I said. So while you have him, use him. Vader, fine. We'll do something with him later, but give me more Palpatine right now. So yes, the Force is with me.
I think either would be relatively easy to do, just because like when I went to Lexington Comic-Con and heard some of his comments about if he would do it again, I didn't get the impression that like he would like that he was involved in this in any way, but like it would not surprise me if like they did like a brief cameo of either. My worry with that is that I feel like it would be tacked on, just because like it would be like, oh well, you can say that Darth Vader's in this. So I guess the Force is with me, but like at the same time, it would just, you know what? I'll just go to my go-to and say the Force is with meh. So that's all I've got for you guys. Thank you so much for taking a seat. John, do you want to go ahead and introduce our discussion today?
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Sure. All right. So as we alluded to earlier, and we just kind of warmed the engines there a little bit, we're going to talk about fan service in Star Wars, and we're talking how it's been applied already, how we see it being applied going forward, good fan service, bad fan service, when it makes sense, when it feels forced.
That's a good pun.
That type of thing. And what about forced? Are you saying about forced? We made a rule on this podcast that we are not going to make a joke about that.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, you were probably snoozing on that one. Yeah, so in the future too, because outside of the Skywalker saga, there's going to be new movies, and we're going to see how much they're going to try to wedge in maybe some fan service to kind of reel people back into these new stories. But let's get into it. An open forum discussion. Let's talk about some fan service. So let our guest of honor start this by telling us a little bit about your feelings on fan service in Star Wars, Ash.
Oh man, well the term fan service, dun dun dun, a little toxic, right? That's what people think. But I mean, people think it's a bad thing, but I mean, because when you hear it, you're just like, ugh. Because people can argue that The Force Awakens had like so much fan service, while The Last Jedi was like the complete antithesis of fan service, I guess I would say. But like, let's say like as far as Solo goes, like I was craving in the trailers kind of those like callback moments. Like what really drew me into that first teaser trailer was when he said, he's like, oh, we're all fine here, right? We're all fine. Like that's never something that Han Solo would say in normal conversation. It's a specific callback to something that he said before, or he's going to say later, I guess. Timelines. But like, I think there are certain ones that make like total sense to me and I love them. And I mean, there are some that are overdone and a little contrived to me, especially in The Force Awakens, but
like
one
what?
that I really love from The Force Awakens. I'm trying to think of one that I really hated. Let me tell you what I did in Rogue One. There was a lot that bothered me that I don't think bothered a lot of people because like I would watch it and be like, oh my God, the blue milk. Like, are you kidding me? This is too much. I just thought it was so extra. But then I would talk to my friends about it and they're like, I didn't even notice any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But to me, it was so much.
I think with Rogue One, the only one that like really bothers me, because like the blue milk doesn't bother me just because it's like it's in the background, like you said. But C-3POs and R2-D2s, that's just like, hey, remember us? We were in the Star Wars before, and like, and it was the stuff with like Chopper and General Syndulla and the ghost stuff. I thought that was really, really good. Like I don't know if I would even call it fan service, but like it was just little nods to like, hey, this stuff, if you're paying attention to the other stuff, hey, we're putting that in for
Bill,
you.
The worst for me in Rogue One was Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba.
You know,
because he says the same line that he says in the cantina. It's like, that took me right out of the scene. Like, why don't you watch where you're going? I'm like, seriously,
I
man?
understand why like you would have a problem with that. It's just, I feel like it's...
This guy has the death sentence on 12 systems and he's just running through streets threatening people. Come on.
I mean, that's within his like personality. I mean, it's not like if it was, I don't know,
running through cities that get blown up like 12 minutes later.
Yeah, he was already in the cantina threatening people too.
If Jabba the Hutt was running like as fast as he could, like, and he was moving really, really quickly through the streets of Jedi, he was like, "Hey, I'm Jabba the Hutt." Like, yeah, that's really, really bad fan service. But this was just like, okay, if you don't know who he is, it doesn't do anything to the story.
So what do you guys even consider fan service? I mean, that's the thing we all argue about. Like, was Force Awakens a better fan service movie, or was the Rogue One was Rogue One a different type of fan service, or
the Gremlins?
Because isn't Star Wars, the fact that they're even making Star Wars movies, isn't that fan service? We think fans want more Star Wars, so we're going to make more Star Wars. I mean, where's the line in which do you say like, well, cater to me, but don't cater to me too much. Like, stop, back it off.
I don't care about the catering. To me, it's like anything that just wouldn't naturally be said or have been there. Like I don't think they would have been drinking blue milk. I don't think that like I'm trying to think of another example. Like,
but it's a fictional world. Couldn't they just as easily drink blue milk there?
Sure, but
green
where
milk.
would they have gotten that blue milk though?
There's just things like, I don't know, like
fictional
even
world.
Rey saying that one's garbage and then panning to the Millennium Falcon. I think that's a fan service moment that I enjoyed, but I still do think it was a fan service moment.
Yeah.
What about her talking about the parsecs? Like, that didn't need to be there.
Yeah, that's like a very good example.
Then Han's like, it's 12. It's like, oh, okay. And it was less than 12 anyway, Han,
And
so
it's
get it
not,
together,
It's
old
not
man.
necessarily that they're all bad. I'm not like complaining about
No,
them. But
I agree,
it's just,
right.
It's just things that you're just like, oh, they're saying that as a nod to the fans. Like, that's a nod to the audience, of course.
So some of these things, though, okay, you say like something that didn't need to be there. So one of Bill's, and this is actually mine too, is the whole C-3PO, R2-D2. But they were there. You know, maybe they didn't need to be in the movie, but that's where they were. That makes sense that those characters would be there at that time.
And Bill, you're a prequelist, dude.
I am a full, like,
the
whole...
worst fan service in the whole saga is the fact that Anakin Skywalker built C-3PO. That is horrible.
That doesn't bother me as much. I mean,
so when Vader sees him on Bespin all in bits and pieces, he's not like, yo, what up, dude?
Anakin Skywalker from episode 1 versus Darth Vader in episode 5 is a very different person. He's not going to care either way. He's just a protocol droid.
You won't remember something you built?
The only reason why Anakin built C-3PO is so that C-3PO could somehow be in episid 1.
Full disclosure, totally hated that.
Okay, so when I saw that movie, I was 5 years old. So, I mean,
Why would he build a protocol droid? It makes no sense.
he's a builder. I mean, he does that. He tinkers with things.
He just likes to go from being a slave building things to going home and building more things.
We're not like, all of us aren't like prequel bashers, but like there are definitely like things wrong with the prequels that like...
I'll do this with all the movies.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But like, I don't know what it is, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but that doesn't bother me as much as like C-3PO and Rogue One, because that's like, I feel like if you take that out, that doesn't affect the movie at all.
But why wouldn't C-3PO be there?
I have a problem with the execution. It was like, they were going into battle or whatever, and then he was like, hey, I'm C-3PO. Why? They never tell me anything. Like, it doesn't make sense in the context of the story.
Now, we're all Star Wars sweaties here, so do you think there's like a certain percentage of all of us are like, what the heck, C-3PO being built by Anakin, what's going on here? Or do you think the reason they do that stuff is because that's just deep enough of a cut that like average, like, you know, I like Star Wars kind of fans are going to go in and be like, oh, this is cool, you know?
Well, if you have a problem with Anakin making C-3PO, do you have a problem with R2 being on Naboo?
A little bit. Like, I would have been fine if neither of them were in the prequels, but they did it because George wanted some familiarity. If you want the honest answer, that's my take on it.
It's poetry. It rhymes.
He'll make all the story reasons in the world, but the real truth is he wanted some familiarity on that poster.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, so this is kind of like
Chewie and Yoda hanging out in Revenge of the Sith. Like, that was ridiculous. I'm sorry,
but what about the droid attack on the Wookiees, John?
Yeah,
you have Han Solo in Episode 4 bashing the Force, and Chewie has seen it all.
All right,
just sitting there playing chess, not saying a word about it.
So address what I'm saying here, though. Like, okay,
sorry.
The average Star Wars like sweaty fan, right, is gonna say, "Oh, that's really cool that they added the Ghost or Choppers in there, right?" And we think that's cool because, you know, most people are probably not going to notice that. But the average fan, that just goes over their head, right? There's no so where's the fan service for the average fan? And I think like the average fan that's just like, you know, Ash, your mom, going into the movie, you know, and she doesn't really know this stuff. She's going to watch that movie and she's going to see C-3PO or she's going to see, you know, R2-D2 or something, and she's gonna say, "Ooh, I wonder, Ash, did you see that? That's like an Easter egg. Like those were the people that."
He sounds just like your mom.
Just like my mom.
100% accurate.
There are actually 6 people on this podcast. You can't see her though.
We can't see any of us, but
I mean, does that make sense? I think like there's a small percentage of people. It's all of us. We're rolling our eyes at these things, but the average person that goes into Star Wars or watching these movies, they're like, "Oh man, I love that part. Like, I thought that was really cool. It made me feel like it was like a callback to the original." I mean, do you guys see that? Do you appreciate it from that angle? Maybe
for sure. Like and you mentioned the chopper and the hair thing. Like, to me, those are more like Easter eggs and like fan servicey moments.
I agree.
But like with the C-3PO stuff, like, yeah, if we did the mom test, like, she's not thinking like, oh, it wouldn't make sense for this character to be here at this time. Sure, it's great, and I'm not necessarily like rolling my eyes at it. Like, I don't hate all of them. There's some of them that I'm just like, okay. All right.
Well, This is a Star War.
I find it interesting, and I don't want to dig too deep into this because people get mad about this kind of thing, but like the people who thrashed JJ about doing a total fan service to A New Hope kind of thing, but like the people who like brought George Lucas back from the dead, who said he should have been back making these movies, it's his blah blah blah, when they were bashing him when the prequels came out, he was the biggest perpetrator of fan service, and that's kind of what I was pointing to with the prequels. Like there was so much of it in the prequels to allude to future events, kind of like what we're going to do in the next segment, joking about the Beckett stuff.
It could have been so much worse. There was a version of the Episode 3 script where Han Solo was in it. So I mean, like that's
exactly
too much. We're like, you're like, you don't need to put that in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. The prequels are tough for me in that regard. I understood why he did it, because it was just like he probably loved those characters so much and he wanted to just bring them back in some way. And you know, he wants to bring Anthony Daniels and Kenny Baker back, and he did it. So that's cool. Whatever. I'm not like Ash was saying, I'm not a hater on it. It's just weird to me, and it could have been avoided. But it was almost probably too enticing, I guess.
Lacey, what's good fan service in your opinion? What kind of stuff should they be doing?
Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One.
Yep. 100%.
Is a perfect fan service moment that wasn't even originally supposed to be in the movie, and Gareth Edwards was like, "Please let me do this." And it was, for me, I don't really talk about the prequels, but in the originals,
that hurts me. That hurts me.
In New Hope, when you meet Vader, he's kind of just like stomping around like, where are the plans? And you're like, this guy's the bad guy? And you don't really see him fight until Empire Strikes Back. Whereas Rogue One, you finally get to see him like being a total effing badass. Like he throws a guy to the ceiling, slices him in half, and the guy's like, oh my God. It's like,
I don't
crazy.
think I've been more excited in a movie theater than the final like 2.5 minutes of Rogue One.
That was insane.
It was the best moment of the movie. And I screamed out loud in the theater, and people looked at me, and I just kept
I didn't
screaming.
care. Like, yeah, absolutely. And can I pose a question to Ash? So we've talked a little bit about a couple of weeks ago the future of Force Ghosts, and I liked the idea of Anakin, like Hayden Christensen coming back as a Force Ghost in 9, or Ewan McGregor coming back as a Force Ghost in 9 as well. Is that too much? Do you think that like that is that fan servicey, or do you think that like they could make that like a compelling, like they could do it in a compelling way to make it like part of the story?
I think they could do it right. I don't know about Ewan McGregor as a Force Ghost, just because we've already seen.
It would make more sense to have Hayden than to have a makeup.
Yeah, Hayden would make sense to me. Hayden would definitely make sense to me.
Is that too much though? Would that just be like too deep cut fan servicey stuff, or?
It's hard because it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, oh, I would definitely not want to see that. And then once I see it and it's done in this perfect way, I'm like, oh my God, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. That's the trick with all of this fan service. When they're writing it, they're like, this is either going to hit or it's going to miss, you know?
Yeah. That's the thing. I wonder this about Star Wars, because I think a lot of movies, they get a lot of feedback and they get a lot of screenings. And I feel like with Star Wars, the secrecy behind it, they don't get as much feedback, so they just put it out and they're like, hopefully this works.
We'll see.
Because 10 people have seen this movie.
Yeah, so you guys say, all right, what's good fan service? Vader at the end of Rogue One. So seeing a character from the original trilogy show up in one of these newer movies, that's great. So then the same thing applies for Tarkin showing up? Same thing applies for Leia at the end of that movie? Are those necessary scenes? Are they good that they're there?
Because of the timeline. Does it make sense for Leia to be there?
Tarkin makes more sense to me than Leia in a way, just because like he was such a prominent figure in the Empire at the time that it would make sense if he wasn't involved. While with Leia, like I'm not like.
I mean, but again, so is like the Emperor, and so is other things. Like they didn't have to put Tarkin in there, but they kind of did have to put Tarkin in there. Yeah. So does that fall into fan service or not? And again, like if
no,
you guys,
I don't think it is.
You don't think it is. Do you consider Leia to be fan service then?
I think
you think it's also important that they needed that shot, and it wasn't to recall people to original trilogy and make them feel like, wow, that was really a Star Wars movie. Did you see Princess Leia at the end? I'm fighting devil's advocate here. I'm saying I just want to pose those questions. Ash, what you got?
Oh no, I just wish like in Rogue One that they just stayed with Tarkin, just show me the reflection. That was plenty. And then with Leia, just the back of her head. Like I knew who that was. I didn't need her to turn around. Is like
she just holds her hand back and grabs him.
Yeah.
Just like, give me those.
Yeah, or maybe and then maybe she just like takes off the hood so we see the buns. Like that would have been plenty. But it was like when they were just full on talking. I don't know. I hate to say it just really took me out of it, those moments.
When they were full on talking. Hope.
I was just so fully aware that
Hope.
it wasn't them.
Like one word.
Yeah.
Right, and you're just staring at their face like, but that's not their face. Let me try to find flaws in this face. That's all I kept thinking the whole time.
You could definitely tell that like it was more prominent with Leia to me than it was with Tarkin, because I feel like since he's like in more of it, they worked. I don't want to say they worked harder on him, but like it's more. I see it more with Leia than I do with Tarkin.
Well, yeah, I don't want to get into the CG of it. We're just talking about like the use of that character, or the use of a reference in the movie, or
James, what about Solo though? Like, what do we think we're gonna get out of fan service in Solo?
See, we talked about that on Monday. You know, like the checklist. What do we want to see? We want to see Sabak. We want to see meeting Lando, meeting Chewie. The life debt thing, the Kessel Run.
But is that fan service, or is that a story we heard that we need to see?
No,
that's the difference.
That's what I'm saying. But like the thing is that all those things could theoretically happen all at different times. Like Lando doesn't have to meet Han the same time Chewie meets Han, but they're like, we'll check it into both the movies, and it'll happen to be the same time that the Kessel Run takes place, and it'll be right around the same time where Han wins the Falcon. Like any of these things could happen at different points in the timeline.
Right, but is the movie going to be littered with like a gonk droid walking by and then like a remote droid, you know, like all these like little things whizzing by throughout the whole movie type of fan service movie where they just load in all that original trilogy?
That's what Steve was saying last week, Black Series Rebels. He says that he thinks
it is.
The offshoot movies are the movies where they throw in like the actual physical like callbacks and fan service.
Yeah, I hope not. I really do.
I just don't think those stories are fan service though. Like that, it's just it would be anything extra added in there where we're just like, oh, they're just saying that for this reason,
like the hokey religion line.
Yeah. On the one hand, I really, really like it would make sense like at the end of it if like you see Han meeting Jabba the Hutt or Boba Fett, but at the same time, like you could really screw that up very quickly if like it's just like, haha, I'm Jabba the Hutt looking to the camera, but we've seen him before.
There's more things to add to the list. It also happens to be the first time he comes in contact with Boba Fett, first time he comes in contact with Jabba the Hutt.
Right, but if it's, James, what if it's Jabba, like, I'm going to send you on a mission, and my boy here, Greedo's going to keep his eye on you. I'm going to be like, oh.
Yeah, that would do it. I think that's too fancy.
Like, I hope they don't do stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know?
and this isn't me having the opinion. Like, I understand where you're coming from, John, and I emphasize it. What I'm saying is just we got to have, if we're having a discussion on what is fan service, what do we want, too much of it, too not, we got to define that line. Yes. For us, I guess, as Star Wars fans, and then what I was saying earlier is more like the general fans. Like, at least if that fan service is in there, like Greedo shows up at the end, he's like, I'm gonna have Greedo watch your back, and he's like, and like half of us are like, ugh, like what the heck, and then the other half is Ash's mom, and she's like, did you see the Greedo guy? Like that Greedo, I remember
my
him.
mom is very young. I just want to put this out here.
Okay,
yeah, he's doing granny voices like Norman Bates' mom here.
Yeah, to me that's everyone's mom. I'm sorry.
If the last line of Solo is, my name is Han Solo and I shoot first, I'm
oh
walking
my god,
out.
I was just gonna say that.
Like that's like
Bill, way to cut off our guest.
I'm so like that.
You
I'm
all
so
keep cutting her off. Let her talk.
Okay, here, I'm just not gonna talk for the rest of the pod. It's
no,
fine.
it's so funny that I was gonna say that. Like that's the only thing that would bother me is if he was literally just like, and by the way, I always shoot first or some shit like that. Like,
hey Chewie, let's check out this cantina at Mos Eisley. They just walk in.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think that there was any specific fan service that people rolled their eyes at when Empire came out or Return of the Jedi?
James, I wanted to say one more thing about that. Like, I think the fan service for fans for Solo is that there's a Han Solo movie, period. Like, they're going to see a movie with Han Solo. That's the general audience fan service right there.
So you think a Solo movie is just fan service, just like...
For the general non-Star Wars fan, like, let's go to the movies. Oh, it's a Han Solo movie? Cool. That's fan service.
I get what he's saying. So Rogue One was not, but Han Solo is. Like, whatever the next standalone movie that doesn't have anything to do with anything isn't. but then the Obi-Wan movie is. Like, is that what you're saying?
Yep.
We'll get, okay. Yeah, I agree. What I will say though is, do you guys, Ash Lacey, do you guys, can you think of anything from like Empire or Return of the Jedi that we don't even blink at now, but people maybe in 1980, maybe 1983, they go in and they're like, oh, come on, they're doing this.
Return of the Jedi, where Han and Leia are leaning up against the door and she got shot, and he looks at her and goes, "I love you," and she goes,
Yeah.
"I know."
Yep.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
That's perfect.
See, I like that though.
I like
Yeah,
it.
see-
I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I guarantee people walked in that theater and went, "Okay."
Oh, she just said what he said in the last movie.
That's Kasdan, though. He loves that symmetry. He loves bookending things.
I loved that moment. I thought it was such a genuine moment, but
I would do that to a man. If he told me if I said I love you and he didn't say it back, and then he tried to say it to me later, yeah, I would do the same thing.
I absolutely agree, though. I could totally see people coming out of the theater and someone's like, I mean, come on. I mean, like, I love you. I know. Like, yeah, we get it. And they're like,
well, especially today, they'd be like, boo.
Yeah, today.
On Twitter. Like, are you kidding me? Like, George, you ruined your own trilogy.
Hashtag not my Star Wars.
yeah.
Hashtag Return of the Jedi awful.
that is, can I just take a second away from this discussion? Nothing makes my blood boil more than when people on Twitter or any social media say, "Not my Star Wars." You do not own it. You did
I
not
see that
write
on
it.
MySpace all the time.
Oh my God, I can't take it. Like, stop. There's so many people that work so hard on these movies and these books and these TV shows, from writers to production to actors. It's just so self-centered and annoying when people say that shit. Oh my God, I can't. Anyway,
Amen.
Go back to Star Wars and make me happy again.
Preach.
If Greedo's in this movie, it's not my Star Wars.
Oh my God. James, I hate you. If you start talking about Qui-Gon, I swear to God.
When did James start talking about Qui-Gon all the time? What did I miss?
The first episode I was on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about Force Ghosts, and
Force
you just kept bringing
Ghosts.
up Qui-Gon.
Hey,
Lore.
again, I'll say
Qui-Gon,
it. There's
man.
only 4 Force Ghosts, so you got to talk about 25% of our entire topic. All right. Guys, you got any more on fan service? Do you think they're gonna do Solo right? Do you think they're gonna hit that
Yes.
perfect amount
Yeah.
of fan
Yes.
service?
Yeah.
I'm afraid
Everyone?
there's going to be a lot.
There may be 1 or 2 moments where I'm like, yeah.
I think there's going to be
like,
a lot.
other
And
than
then
that,
there's a voice over this podcast of Ron Howard going,
Uh-huh.
"There was."
there was. I will add that 100%. But yeah, and like
There's
like,
going to be a lot. There was a lot.
There
I
was.
mean, there already is in the trailer. You have Han saying, "I have a good feeling about this." It's like, oh,
But I
liked
like
that, though.
I did too.
Did you?
I'm 100% okay with that because that's
That line in general is fan service in all the movies. K2 says it, and you're like, there it is. There's the service for me,
Okay.
the fan.
Yeah, there it is.
that's a staple. That's a staple. But now he's saying like, and they're featuring him saying, "I have a good feeling about this." I don't know. I have a bad feeling about that.
boo.
Oh, stop it!
Boo.
Stop it!
All right,
If Han
guys.
Solo wears a vest in this movie, I'm out.
That's too much.
All right, I say we wrap this up and we move
Yeah.
on to our Resistance transmissions.
Tobias Beckett is heard giving advice to Han Solo in the full Solo trailer saying, quote, "Let me give you some advice. Assume everyone will betray you, and you will never be disappointed. So to have some fun with this, we asked you to give us your best Tobias Beckett fake quote, giving Han advice about something that happens in Han in episodes 4 through 7, and we chose the best ones. Here they are."
This is from David Weiser at Weiser David. And
Why
he
are you
said,
saying it like that?
Wait, what?
Weiser?
How do you know is he German?
He
I'm
might
making
be
him
German.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm
I'm
making
gonna
him
have a
German.
Budweiser.
Budweiser,
David
please.
is a classic German name.
And listen,
Yeah.
listen. Okay, let's. This
I want to
comes-
hear everyone's impressions with these. They got to be
Okay.
read fully.
Okay, here we go. This is from David Weiser at Weiser David, and he says, and my Woody Harrelson is a lot like my Bill Clinton. Whatever you do, don't have kids. We don't need any of your progeny turning the galaxy upside down.
Is it weird I can hear both of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. In other words, Beckett's telling Han not to have children because Kylo
Yeah.
Ren's gonna kill everybody.
Because he's the best thing to ever happen to the galaxy. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Boo.
Okay, so mine is from Snoke's Legs at Snoke's legs. Way to get your handle, Snoke's legs.
That's a new Twitter. That's a newcomer to Twitter.
Yeah, I love when people get their handle. It's not Snoke's legs 7. It's just Snoke's legs. He got it, or she got it, whoever.
And now I'm picturing in Last Jedi where it just falls off the throne.
Mm-hmm. That is also a therm.
And someone in the theater is like, I should join Twitter.
They check to see if anyone has a handle Snoke's legs.
For sure.
Like, no one does.
Yeah, it's not taken yet.
All right.
And Snoke's legs said, quote, life is like it's what is Forrest Gump?
Life is like a narrow walkway.
I'm going to read this like Forrest Gump, yeah. Life is like a narrow walkway suspended over a huge void, Han. Always look for the handrail.
That was
Tobias Beckett.
Was that Dobby?
Yeah, I think so.
That was Tobias Beckett.
I like that one. That was
that was good.
Funny.
That was good.
Well, this one is my favorite from Joshua Ryan. Just Joshua Ryan. At just Joshua
Ryan,
Ryan,
right? It's his name.
I can't do impressions, so I can't.
You have
Beckett.
2 to do. Beckett and
I can't
Han.
do it. I can't.
Here,
I'm just gonna tell you who.
Do you want me to be? I'll be Beckett if you want me to.
Oh yes.
No.
Okay. You ready? Okay.
Let's do this.
Hey. No, seriously, it works every time.
I don't know. Sounds like a good way to get blasted.
Snickering.
Snickering.
Just tap them on the opposite. Just tap them on the opposite shoulder and run away really, really fast.
If you say so.
All right.
I love it.
Then
It's
Bill's
a good,
like, Beckett closes the door and walks away.
it's a good fan service tweet.
Snickering.
So the obvious reference there was Joey from Friends reading the line in the parentheses.
Yeah. So that's obviously the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
Doing
yeah.
the old ninja look.
Right before we run into Captain Rex. Now, Kylo 10 at Fulcrum Andor. This is another Tobias Beckett quote. Assume everyone will betray you and then steal your clothes. So it's not so much about Lando wearing clothes.
James,
it's more
what's
about
funny? James, your
being at the
actual
swimming
voice,
pool.
I have to say this, James, your actual voice almost sounds like Woody Harrelson. So you can just read that.
Yeah, just read it. You're good.
Like,
just...
All right. Back in the Cheers days, now, assume everyone will betray you and then steal your clothes. Did you guys hear it?
Then steal your own clothes? Are you stealing your own clothes in that?
No, it says steal your clothes. You assume people will betray you and steal your clothes.
No. Lando wears Han's clothes at the end of Empire.
Yeah. At the swimming pool, he takes it. He has Han jump in the buff and then steals his clothes. It's a prank.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they're like, after what you pulled, it's just a never mind. All right, guys, this is getting weird. We got one more, Lacey.
Weird and wild stuff.
The next one is from Caleb Bedford at Dr. Kinkaid. Is it Kinkaid? Kinkaid?
Oh, he therm scissor punches. I'll tell you what.
If anyone therm scissor punches,
Scissor punch.
It's Dr. Kincaid.
I think it's just Kincaid.
Is it Kincaid? Is there Kincaid? Dr.
Mr. Kincaid to you.
Kincaid?
It's a fundraiser for kink.
Although Caleb's last name is Bedford, so I'm not actually sure.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Caleb, I'm so sorry. Once again, like Monday's episode, I can't read. I don't know why I started joining this podcast, because I can't read. I'm bad with names, apparently.
Because you're great, Lacey. Because you're fantastic.
You're a rock
I know,
star.
and I'm going to prove it after I read this quote. Okay, so the quote is, whatever you do, don't let your brother-in-law look after your kid. You know why? This is my part adding it. Because he'll try to murder him and then turn him into a terrible person. But then he's a really good person on the inside.
But he's a really good.
Ben Solo deserves better. Caleb.
That was rough. And they want me to edit this, listeners. Seriously?
We should just do segments where I talk about Kylo Ren. You all just boo me for 5 minutes.
That's next Thursday's episode.
I have to say, that segment was a lot of fun, guys.
maybe too much fun.
You guys out there gave us such creative, fun answers. Snoke's legs, David Visor, Joshua Ryan, being just Joshua Ryan, Kylo 10, Ashley, you're fantastic, and Caleb Bedford, Dr. Kinkaid. Thank you so much for those. I really appreciate
Dr.
that.
Kinkaid.
Kinkaid.
Awesome. I'm just going with it.
Just keep going with it, man.
It's a fundraiser for kink. All right.
Therm,
So,
scissor,
but I do
punch.
think that was fun. So we have to do stuff like that more often. But thank you to our special guest once again, Ash Crossan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yay!
Nice.
It's a
I
mix
hope you
between
had-
Cardi B and a porg.
It really is. Oh my god, it totally is.
Oh,
I just found out who that person was by my wife right before I podcasted tonight.
oh, congratulations and welcome because she is amazing.
She is.
She was playing a clip of her with, I think, Jimmy Fallon or something.
Is
like
your
that.
wife a big fan of Cardi B? Because if she is, we're best friends now.
I don't think so.
Bill, I was
And
unaware you were such a big fan. You've never brought it up ever.
Listen, there's a lot of things you don't know about me. I like to keep it professional. Obviously.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
loves the hills. He loves Cardi B.
Yeah.
Learning
And he
so
loves.
much.
You're right.
He loves Rambo Gizmo.
And
And-
Africa by Toto.
Oh, we're missing one. Therm scissor punching.
Hey.
Yes.
Therm scissor punching.
My
Like
girlfriends are gonna
twice a
love that.
day. Seriously. He needs to cut back.
Oh my god. This is a prime example of like a side me to a camera going, you're probably wondering how I got here. It's a funny story.
Well, Therm scissor punching aside, I do want to thank all you out there for listening to our show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, and please take 5 seconds to rate us 5 stars on iTunes. Keep spreading the word. You are the reason we are growing, so we thank you very much. Remember, if you haven't yet entered to win the Lenovo Jedi Challenges giveaway, how do you enter? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, go to our episode from this past Monday, like it, and comment whether you would train as a Jedi or a Sith, or if you like to Therm scissor punch.
Heck yeah.
Is that what we're doing now? That's
Well,
happening?
We're doing this.
We're doing
You're
We'll
it.
welcome.
accept those.
This is we are Therm scissor punching. It's fine.
Why not?
Why not?
We may have a new T-shirt idea, James.
Oh no.
We'll
I
get some
will-
royalties
Oh,
to
no.
Ashla.
Will purchase.
We'll
10 out of
purchase.
10.
We will pick a winner this coming Monday. So good luck to all of you. Make sure you enter. Tell your friends. Enter. It's a great game, as James said, and good luck to all of you out there. Buy some Resistance Broadcast swag, as I was just saying about T-shirt ideas. Head to our store, tpublic.com/user/Resistance Broadcast, and grab a shirt, mug, poster, hoodie, whatever you like. We have over 25 designs, including Gary the Porg, which Ash has one of those.
I do.
Hey.
Yes, and you took him to Ireland. Was that a true story?
Oh, my porg? Oh, yes. I took him to Ireland.
No, the T-shirt, Gary the Porg T-shirt.
Yes, I did.
Oh, all right, great. So it was a true story. Okay, cool. It is the best way to support the show, so we thank you out there. As always, be sure to head to our website, StarWarsNewsNet.com, for all of your latest Star Wars news and information. James, where can people find you?
As always, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Myra Trunks, MIRAHTRUNKS. That is where I will be. Come talk to me.
Bill, where you be?
I be at Twitter and Instagram at Star Wars Bill. I have just appointed myself the Archduke of #PorgNation, so you can find me there. So thank you guys so much for listening. Ash, you're wonderful. May the Force be with you always.
Lacey, where are you at?
When I'm not Therm scissor punching, you can find me at Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, retweeting Kylo Ren shirtless pictures and being weird and not being able to read, apparently. So this was a really eye-opening experience for me.
This became an explicit podcast in like 5 minutes.
It took a natural progression from fan service to absolute insanity.
Can I make a request before we have Ash do her wonderful outro? I want to
Yes.
hear every one of you do a Porg impersonation.
Yes.
Okay.
James?
Well, it sounds a little bit like this.
Yeah, sounds a little bit. I don't know. The main one is that like cry or whatever. Is there anything else they do besides that? I don't know. Kind of a. I
James,
don't know.
just
I guess
make the noise, James.
Just do it. It's fine. Give in to peer pressure. It's fine.
It's not bad.
That's all I got.
Okay, John, go.
I'm going to do the crying Porg where he's like,
Aw.
Yeah. See.
Aww.
like, don't eat my dad.
Do I have to go next, or is Lacey go?
No, you go.
That was a peacock. I don't know what that. I
He did
don't.
the hand motions too, though. He got into character.
Peacocks make that noise?
Oh,
Yeah, no.
homegirl. My aunt
When
has
they're
peacocks
angry.
on her farm, and it sounds like that.
And for you out there listening,
Legitimately.
Bill fluttered his hands like jazz hands while he did that. So
I
Listen.
always make motions on podcasts like anyone can see. I'm always like, when this happens, everyone's like, no one can see your hands.
Lacey, where?
Oh,
what is
am I
your-
going?
Come on, let's go. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That was
Pretty good.
once
Yeah.
again.
Thank
That's
you
Cardi
so
B.
much.
That
A
was
little Cardi
100.
B.
That was
Oh,
100%. Oh,
And Lacey, where do you want to tell them where they can find you to send you videos of their impressions of Porg?
Yeah, sure. If you want to send me videos of Porg impressions, you can find me at Lacey Killerin again. I'll be sitting there, scissor punching, waiting for your replies.
All right, and Ash, do your impression because it's so good.
Oh, I'm turning into Cardi B.
There's zero wrong
That is
with
a
that.
really good Cardi B,
I actually support you on that. So just keep that up.
Cardi Porg. Cardi Porg.
Cardi
That's
Porg.
what I'll name my Porg.
Cardi P, baby.
And Ash, where can people find you?
I'm at Ash Crossan on Twitter. That's where I post like everything that I'm working on. Please don't send me your Porg impressions because I said that you all will. So very excited for that. Can't wait to see them.
Right
Ash,
on.
you got to
And-
tweet to Cardi
thank
B
you
now,
guys.
comparing her to Porg.
Oh my gosh, I do. And thank you guys so much for having me. This has been so much fun.
Woo!
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
Thanks
You're
for
welcome
coming.
back anytime. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. We will be right back with you on Monday morning with a new episode and that Lenovo Jedi Challenges contest winner announcement. So enjoy your weekend, and we will see you Monday morning right here on the Resistance broadcast.